Yo, what up? Re here, re up, motherfucker. Back again with another video. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for everyone hitting me up for readings. I'll get back to you right after this video. And if you're interested in a reading, my email is right below, and you do not need your birth time. So thank you so much, and let's get into it. Now, this is a video that needs to be created because a lot of people are in fear because they have no idea what an entity is. And I do blame religion for creating such a fear behind this. And the media, all we have is film that's geared towards being afraid of something coming at us, like an entity, something. It's fear of the unknown, basically. And so this is a book that explains exactly what a magical entity is. And so it's just a science. It's a science that you weren't taught, and it's not something to be afraid of. Now, you have to understand that you are energy, right? And you're more than your physical body. You have an aura that's around you. For some of you, it's 10 feet above you and around you. It depends on the person. It depends how much you've been really taking care of your body, taking care of your soul, taking care of your mind, and how much energy you have available to yourself that's actually working. Like, you have infinite energy, but a lot of people are diminishing their energy by the way they're treating themselves. So you have to understand you're more than just your physical body. You don't just have to do things physically in order to get a result in life. So we've never been taught that. If you were taught that, then you would be infinitely powerful like you actually are. You would actually believe that, and that doesn't benefit other people. That doesn't benefit a society, because you won't need society. You'll be able to do everything on your own, and it would benefit a better society, but not in the society we're currently in. So let's go to this book called Creating Magical Entities by David Michael Cunningham. This explains a lot. Now, let's get into it. I think what we need to explain first, well, this is a table of, this is the contents, right? So we have defining an entity, entity uses, attuning your energy, important precautions, goals and results, planning your entity, choosing a name, your entity's appearance, housing your entity, feeding time, magical abilities, lifespan, programming your intent, giving life to your entity, and contacting your entity. Now, just based on that, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh my God, like, we're creating a person. Like, let's define what this is before we go too crazy. So now in this book, you will learn how to create a magical entity and how to use that entity to help you in life. One of the first things we must do before we can begin is to define what an entity is. So what's an entity? A vital principle held to give life to an immaterial essence which has been created to have a self-contained and distinct existence with a conceptual reality by the deliberate effort of personifying segregated thoughts and emotions. So in other words, this is a thought form. The entities that can be created through the help of this book are thought forms. Now, I want you to put that in your mind. I want you to really understand what an entity is. It's a thought form. So if you think about what are one of the biggest thought forms, is Jesus. One of the big, whether he was a real person or she was a real person or not, it lives on, it keeps living on. And because we all think of it and believe in it in a way, not all of us, but I mean, like, people of religious, there's also Satan, right? When you bring up Satan is a thought form. Okay. People have created this thing to be something like that it's actually an entity, but it's not. It's because of the fear. So understand that you create your own hell in your thoughts. Your thoughts do create the type of reality that you're living in. Like, your birth chart is the number one thing that will create your reality, right? But how you experience that reality is up to you, and that comes with your thoughts. So creating a thought form. So this is how you would create a magical entity that can help you. through your life. Now, this basically thought forms. What you're learning is how energy works. That's basically what you're learning, and how to apply your energy in order to manifest something. But before we can do that, it's very important. So here it talks about the uses of it. So you can use it for anything, is what it's going to tell you. You can use it for anything. So we're going to keep going into this. Now, before you can even think about creating an entity, this is why this is like reserved for people who really have been focused on their own energy and enhancing themselves as a spiritual being, because you have to work on yourself in order to use your energy in a proper way. Now, these are the things they say. Meditate. Meditation as a tool will allow you to gain control of your thoughts and actions. With proper control, anything is possible and accurate results can be achieved. It is important to clear your mind what exactly it is for that you want in your magical workings. Meditation will help you define your goals and desires. It will also allow you to see the situation from different angles. This will often reveal hidden situations that may lead themselves to helping achieve your goals. And this is absolutely correct, right? This is why you have to do the work. There's a lot of fake charlatans out there that will say they'll teach you how to meditate and all that stuff. And it's like, yes, you can help someone to meditate, but like when people ask me to teach them, I tell them like, hey, you got to sit down and you have to do the work. You have to sit down and be silent, because what it's going to teach you is nothing that I can teach you. Your higher mind can teach you way better than I can teach you. And so it's very important to get into this higher levels of consciousness, and you can only do that by meditating. And this is something I can't even explain in words. It's just something you have to do. It's like working out. But working out, like I could tell you what the results will be, and then you can imagine that. But this is so personal that I can't even explain it. So the other things they say about is exercise. Like you have to 100% be exercising, and it does, because you're clearing out your body of toxins, and you have to be able, the energy has to flow within your body, and then it will release the endorphins, and then with that you can create other things like diet as well. Your diet has to be 100% clean if you want to be doing things like this. 100% clean. I would say even go down to a raw diet, which I did for a couple years, and it will release all the emotions, because most people are just eating for emotions. You have to be, if you really want to create stuff in your life and change it, you got to be a beast. Like you have to be really into this and treat yourself like a god, and having enough sleep. So visualization as well. Like you have to train yourself to be able to visualize what you want. Experiencing energy signatures, being around people, being able to feel energy, practicing that. This is something I was able to practice being a stripper in the club for almost 6 years, talking to hundreds of people every day, and I could just feel, I just knew. But it takes practice. It takes practice being around a lot of people all the time. And you can develop this. Become more creative. That will get you in touch with your higher self. This is why I do music, regardless of wanting to be in the industry or not. It's not for anybody, but it helps enhance me. And then respect the entities you work with. Okay. So precautions, they say like laws of cause and effect. Well, I do. That's whatever you believe. I don't believe in karma at all, because I've talked to a lot of very advanced occultists and everything. And when you get to the very top of people who can create things, nobody believes in karma. Karma is something that's going to come back to you. If you feel guilt of doing something, then you shouldn't do it. If you feel like something is wrong, you shouldn't do it, because that will eat you up. Your own emotions will eat you up. Remember, you can create thought forms out of anything. Right? If you start believing that you ain't shit because someone was telling you that, you're going to start creating these thought forms in your head. That's how people manipulate you. That's how what's going on in the media all the time, because it's putting thoughts in your head and you're creating these thought forms, right? So how else do you do it? So let's go down here. So you decide like what your goal is for this entity. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to provide you more sales in your business? Do you want it to provide you, you want it to help you create more money, create more abundance? It can do all that, but you have to be very specific. So you plan your entity. If you want to lump sum cash, anything like that, you decide what it is, right? Now, they say be careful of things returning to you. Don't be dependent on it. Goals and results. And let's keep going down here. So choosing a name. So when they choose a name, so say if you had, for example, they were saying that you wanted to have something to influence and attract fine art purchases that are able to and that will purchase my sculpture for a price that I set. That are able and that will purchase. Okay, so say if you're trying to sell something and that's the goal, to influence and attract fine art purchasers. Now, what you do is you take out all the vowels, so it ends up being like this, right? And then you take out all the letters that were the same, so then you end up with this, right? So if you notice in a lot of sigils and stuff, if you know witchcraft and stuff, you'll see a lot of just random letters, right, on sigils and stuff. That's because they brought it down to lowest common denominator in words. So then you take that and then you use those letters and then you translate those into numbers in numerology. So like F is a 6th letter, right? And the 6th letter is a feminine letter. And then that can help you, using that, it'll break it down to what exactly this thought form is doing. And it's weird because it'll naturally do that, right? So advisor, artist, sales person, expert, poet, artist, sculpture. So these are all the things they wanted to do to create people coming in to buy their sculpture, and these are the things that you needed. It breaks itself down, and then these are the parts of the body that it corresponds to when you're making this entity, because we see it as a real person. Now, the other things you can do is you can use numerology, or there were like, well, this is numerology itself, or if you're comfortable, this other guy was using Kabbalah. You can use any alphabet, really. You could use Greek or you could use Hebrew alphabet to create the entity. Oops, you guys aren't seeing that. To create the entity and the appearance as well. So it's just how like you're made. You have all this in here as well, but you don't in your name. It breaks down to letters, and then it breaks down to what that means. Like, example, like 9 is an artist. Like, you can see that in... what is it called? If you're, what is your life path number? That's what equals your life path number, and that says what you are. So let's keep going. Housing your entity. So a lot of you have seen like movies about this and like hauntings and stuff where there's like an object that's haunted, or a haunted doll or something like that. This is correct. Like, you can put an entity into any object. So anything. So these are like things you would see back in the day. So you can house it in there. So you're housing the thought form in there. That's why you can have objects that are haunted, because it's not that there's like a demon in there that's like gonna come get you. It's just the thought form. I want to stress that a lot, because people are afraid of energy that's literally can't hurt you unless you believe it, unless you want it to. So feeding time, how you feed it with energy, right? So entities feed off energy, much like we eat and drink. Just like if you would die if you didn't eat, right? So what you can do is you can feed it with your energy. Now you have to be careful and feeding it with positive energy, right? Because if you're mean to your entity, or you're like, oh, you piece of shit, and you're like always yelling at it and stuff like that, you're going to cause a lot of negativity in your own life, right? So you're going to get back the energy that you're putting out around you, because it's going into your field. Like, that's why you have to treat yourself like a god, but not in an ego way, like you're better than other people. Like everybody in a godly form, like everybody is in a godly form, you know? So you treat people with respect, just like you treat yourself with respect. And then so you create the entity, and then it can you can like, you can feed it energy by like saying good things to it, by being creative around it, or maybe you have one that just feeds off energy of traffic and you live by traffic. Like, you can find different ways of feeding it, but what you're doing is feeding it, is acknowledging it and making it grow, basically, because the more you acknowledge it, it's real, the more it grows. Just like, say, if you're worried about something, the more you feed it, the more it grows, right? So it can have any ability you want. You have to have a lifespan. You have to decide like when it's born. I would go even further if you're creating an entity, that you look at the birth chart, like you create an election for it. So if you know astrology, like you create it on the right day, because that will determine the lifespan. But a lot of people don't use astrology and magic. That it's like more rare. So that's like an advanced way that I was thinking about doing it. Creating an entity, I would do it on the right time, the right day. If you know that, you could do that too. So you program your intent, just like if you wanted to create something in your life, you would program it with an intent as well, right? So, and then you also create a symbol. It's the same as like a sigil. When witches create sigils, people create sigils, or you can buy sigils, and then, which are necklaces, and you put it around you. Or like right now is a great time to create sigils about Jupiter, because Jupiter is in Pisces right now. So you have these type of things. So you have a sigil. So you're creating whatever it has to do with. And then over here, so yeah. Once you have that, let me go down. And this is a really good book for you guys to pick up. So definitely you can find this online. So it's all about, yeah, define your goals, understanding the purpose of your entity, create a name for your entity, define its appearance, choose its housing object, determine its source of energy, define its magical abilities, determine its lifespan for your entity, decide the method of dissolution if appropriate, create your entity's programming symbol, give life to your entity, allow the entity to perform the task, perform your dissolution of your identity if appropriate. Now, where's the other part? There was another part of how you charge this, and let me find it. If not, I Snapchatted it. Okay, so there was a guy, a rabbi, and this will probably answer a lot of your questions when it comes to like blood rituals and things like that. So there's a rabbi, I hope you guys can see it, yeah, right here, and of Prague, and he had been noted in many texts to have fashioned a clay form into the shape of a human. So although powers given to him by God, he was able to breathe life into the clay figure. The clay figure was known as a golem. When Rabbi Lau created the golem, he incorporated the 4 elements: earth, though the use of clay for the body; fire. It has been noted that Rabbi baptized the golem by spilling blood onto the body of the golem; water. It is believed that Rabbi Lau ejaculated into the cavity present in the clay form; and air. It is believed that the Rabbi Lau breathed air into the nostrils of the golem. Rabbi Lau noted that because of the magical origins of the golem, it could not be injured by the 4 elements. So that's why you see people using blood and sperm and menstrual blood into the objects or onto the sigils, because these already have the elements of life, and they're part of the elements themselves, and they help to create life, just like you're made up of different elements, right? So that's why I don't have any judgment of people who do these types of things, as long as they're not hurting anybody else. But even if they are, that's not my place to judge. Judgment of oneself is not understanding life, you know. But I wouldn't do that myself, hurting people. So that's but that's my preference, and not me to judge others. But the thing is, you can use, if you're using your own semen, your own blood, your own menstrual blood, that's on you. That's on you. You're allowed to use your own parts of your body to create whatever you want. Like, no one owns your body. So you're allowed to do these. So hopefully that kind of puts things into perspective about how things are created. And then once you have this, you go in, and then every time you can look at the symbol, you can pick it up, program the symbol, and then you say, with this symbol, I'm able to contact you with ease at any time as I desire. And then you say the entity's name. And when the symbol is no more, your life and purpose be no more. And this in my will, so it will be done. So whenever you needed to go do something, you can do it. And then this has a lot of energy and a lot of thought forms, more than you would, because if you create something more outside of yourself, to do stuff like a thought form outside of yourself, it will be more powerful, because it doesn't include, one, your birth chart and your limits of your birth chart, and two, your limiting beliefs from, no matter who you are, you have limiting beliefs from your childhood, how you grow up, society, whatever. So this is how you can make things happen a lot easier for yourself, if that makes sense. So hopefully this isn't confusing. Pick up this book. This is a really good book, and it will really help you if you really want to understand how energy works. And yeah, so hopefully this gives you more of an understanding. When people are talking about entities, you know exactly what they're talking about. And when people are just talking from fear, you're going to know what they're talking about. Anyways, I love y'all, and real motherfucker, I easy.